Hello children and welcome to the session today. Children, we all know that the earth that we are living on contains both living and non-living things. So we know that plants, animals and human beings are living things. And we also know that the rock, sun, air, water, land, all these are non-living things. But children, without these non-living things, living beings cannot survive. We are dependent on these non-living things. And these non-living things are our natural resources which help us to sustain life on earth. And today in this session, we are going to talk about two of these natural resources. This is chapter number 18 of your book, Water and Air Around Us. So we know that water and air are very, very important things that enable life on earth. We also know that life on earth is possible only because of water and air that is present exclusively on our planet. So children, water is an important resource that we are going to discuss first. We know that water is important for everyone. We know that 70% of our body weight is due to water. It plays an important role in our body. How? It carries nutrients to different parts of our body, and this is true not only for human beings but also for animals and plants. It helps in excretion of waste in the form of urine and sweat, and it also maintains your body temperature. How? The moment you're feeling very hot in summer months and you take in a glass of water, you feel better, isn't it? How all do we use water? We use water for bathing, for cleaning, for washing and for cooking. Water is also essential for the germination of seeds and growth of plants. How do plants utilize water? They take up water through the process of photosynthesis, and as the end product, they make their food and release life-giving oxygen as a byproduct. So, the farmers use water to irrigate fields. Then water is also used in a number of industries for producing various goods that we use in our everyday life. Water that is stored in a dam is used to create hydroelectricity. Many kinds of aquatic plants and animals also live in water, and water bodies help to maintain the availability of life and maintaining the temperature of the earth. Now children, we know that earth is a blue planet. We know that a huge part of the earth is covered with water. Let us now understand the availability of water for us. So firstly, let's understand that water is present in three physical states: solid as snow, liquid as water in rivers, ponds, etc., and as gases in the form of water vapor, etc. Children, about 71% of the earth's surface is covered with water if you include the ice peaks also. About 97% of this hydrosphere is called the oceans and seas. What is hydrosphere? Hydrosphere is the area on earth that is covered with water. So 97% of this hydrosphere is ocean and seas. 2.16% is available as groundwater. What is groundwater? When rain comes, some of the water goes under the ground and this becomes groundwater. Only 0.03% of water is available in rivers, lakes, ponds, etc. And of this, only 0.01% is fit for consumption and agricultural activities. Children, let's look at this figure once again. 0.01% of water is fit for consumption of plants, animals and human beings. So, does it not make water a very, very important resource? Let's stop wasting it then. Now, after discussing the availability of water, let's watch a video to understand the difference between surface water and underground water. Fresh water is obtained from two sources: surface water and underground water. The water present on the surface of the earth is called surface water. Rainwater is the purest form of water. It gets unclean when it collects dust particles and germs from the air while falling down from the atmosphere to the earth. River and lake water comes from rain and melting of snow on the mountains. It also contains impurities and is not fit to be consumed directly. Drinking river water directly may cause diseases like dysentery, cholera, and typhoid. Rivers and streams finally flow into the seas and oceans. Seawater is salty and not fit for drinking or being used for irrigation, bathing, etc. Some of the rainwater seeps into the soil and goes under the earth's surface. It collects over the hard, non-porous rocks. The level of groundwater is called the water table. Groundwater is drawn out with the help of hand pumps and tube wells. It is used for household chores, agriculture, and industrial purposes. So, children, we have understood that this underground water contains a lot of impurities. Because of this reason, underground water is often referred to as hard water, and because the mineral content in surface water is less, therefore, surface water is known as soft water. Now, what happens in case rains do not fall? Since we have seen till now that we are very highly dependent on rains for the maintenance of groundwater, for the maintenance of ice, snow, the water cycle is responsible for practically everything, every form of water on earth. What happens when rain does not fall for 1, 2 or 3 seasons consecutively? It leads to drought. Drought means sukha in Hindi. What are the causes of drought? There may be many reasons. Deforestation is the main cause behind low rainfall. We know one thing, that when the plants prepare food with the help of photosynthesis, they take in gases through stomata under the surface of the leaf. It is through this stomata that they also give out excess water, and this process is known as transpiration. Transpiration takes place continuously from leaves. Because of this reason, whatever regions have a thick cover of trees, they will all be very cool because water vapor is being released continuously in the air. Now, when there will be no forest, this reason for addition of water vapor into the atmosphere is removed. That is why deforestation becomes a major cause of droughts. The second reason is excessive use of surface water because of population growth and industrialization. Now, this drought will have different kind of impact on different situations and persons. Let us understand the effect of drought on soil. So, we know that we need to water the plants in order for them to grow. So, in case the soil does not receive any rainfall or water, it becomes dry and it cracks up. Then what will happen? It will become infertile. We know that soil is also the home for so many living organisms. So, if the soil is going to dry out, what is going to happen to the living organisms? They are also going to die. And we know that there is a top layer, humus, which promotes the growth of crops. Humus is also lost. Now, when the crops will be lost, what will happen to people? People will not be able to irrigate crops. And that is why they will depend on the stored food grains. That is not going to last forever. So, human beings will also die of starvation. Sometimes because there is a drought in a particular area, people move in large numbers from one city, village or town to another. That leads to a pressure on the city or town or village that they move to. Another problem is that when the water sources will dry up, not only will the humans have no water to irrigate their field, they will also have no water to drink. For that reason, they will have to travel very long distances to fetch water. Now, what will happen to animals? Animals are also going to die due to shortage of water and due to shortage of fodder, which comes from dried crops. The effect on water bodies. When rain does not fall for a very long time, what is going to happen to water bodies? They are obviously going to dry up. And effects on aquatic life, when the water bodies are going to die, what is going to happen to the aquatic plants and animals? They too are going to die. Another condition that is related to water itself are known as floods. So what are floods? Floods are, in simple terms, an overflow of a large quantity of water onto a normally dry land. Now this happens because the rain is in excess and the water in the streams, rivers, lakes or ocean overflows, and it overflows and submerges the surrounding areas. This is how floods take place. Now when floods takes place, obviously there is loss of life, because when this water, rainwater, floods the cities, it comes with a very huge speed, and it takes away along with it people, property, trees, animals, everything. Children, just like droughts, flood is also going to have an impact on everything. Let us understand how. Now, because of heavy rainfall, the topmost layer of humus is going to be washed away. It is going to lead to soil erosion, and in the process, the soil is going to become infertile. Another important problem is this flood water will be covering everything from sewers to streets to everything. It will become very pure. This impure water is going to destroy the fertility of the soil, and it is also going to lead to waterlogging in the field for a very long time, because of which the small helpful organisms like earthworms, etc., will also die. Effect on people. A number of houses are destroyed, property is damaged, as I just shared with you. People get drowned, families are separated because members are swept away with flood water. People face the problem of shortage of clean drinking water, because as we just discussed, all the water sources, there is flooded water everywhere, and this flooded water is highly contaminated. There are poisonous insects and animals which are also flushed into the cities areas along with the flood water. Shortage of food grain becomes an important issue because the storage areas are also flooded with water, and there is a lot of wastage of food items. Social activities, of course, come to a halt in flooded areas because electricity, wires, everything is broken down. So there is no way that rescue operations can also be carried out. So roads, electric supply, telephone connection, everything is severely hampered. Effect on animals. A large number of animals are swept away or they are drowned because one, they don't get any flood warnings as such, and number two, because they cannot protect themselves. Flood water destroys fodder, which causes shortage of food for animals also. Effects on aquatic life. When very heavy rainfall comes, what happens? The aquatic areas, the rivers are connected to the nearby cities. So what happens? The animals in the water bodies are swayed away to nearby fields, and once the flood water recedes, they are left in the open. So they die of asphyxiation. Flood water carries chemicals, fertilizers and pesticides. Now this again pollutes the water bodies and harms the aquatic life. Many small plants and organisms are swept away from ponds and lakes, and when these animals are lost, children, we've learned about floods, we've learned about drought. So one is shortage of water to an extreme, one is excess of water to another extreme. Let us understand that the 0.01% of water that is available as fit for consumption for all of us, how do we save that? So we save that by a process called rainwater harvesting. So we know that the rain is the purest form of water that comes down on earth. How do we save this water? In rainwater harvesting, pipes are connected to the roof of the house. All the rainwater comes down these pipes and it is collected in an underground reservoir. And here, as you can see in this underground reservoir, this water is collected to be used later on. This is how, children, we can actually save water and increase the level of underground water as well. Having done water, let us now move on to the next natural resource, which is air. We all know that living organisms breathe in air. We also know that the earth is covered around with a blanket of air, which is known as atmosphere. Now, this atmosphere is not made up of one but many gases. The constitution of these different gases in the environment is very different. Let us see how, looking at this diagram in the picture. So, we can see that if this is the atmosphere, then nitrogen is present at a quantity of 78%, which is a huge amount. Then we have oxygen at about 20%, argon at about 0.93%, and other gases at 0.4%. Now, children, one would wonder that if oxygen and carbon dioxide are the only gases we are talking about all the time, what is the need for the other gases? Let us understand what they are required for. So, we know that oxygen is important for burning. Amazingly, nitrogen is responsible for not supporting burning. So, it controls burning. That means if there was no nitrogen in the atmosphere, everything would just burn because oxygen is present everywhere. Then comes argon. Argon is an inert gas. It does not react with the heat of other metals, and that is why it is used in electric bulbs. Then comes neon, which is another inert gas that is used in tube lights and glow signs. We also know that there is water vapor that is present in the atmosphere. This water vapor continues to rise from the different water sources in and around our house, and it is responsible for the ongoing process of water cycle. The next important constituent is dust and smoke. Dust and smoke is always present in the air. And what do? They bind themselves to the water particles, and smoke and these water particles and dust combine to form fog, which not only causes interference with visibility but also with respiratory system. Children, dust and smoke are always there. Now, how do you prove that dust is there? Let us watch a video to understand the same. You must have seen smoke coming out of the exhausts of automobiles and the tall chimneys of factories. Dust particles are present in the air around us everywhere. To prove that, close all the doors and windows of your room. Draw the curtains to make it completely dark. Stick black chart paper to the window. Make a small hole in the chart paper stuck on the window facing the sun. A narrow beam of sunlight enters the darkened room through a small hole. You will see shiny dust particles moving in a zigzag way. This shows that air contains dust particles. Now let us understand, why do we need air? Why do animals need air? So we all know that breathing is a process by which animals take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. So we need air to breathe. Breathing is a process that takes place through nostrils, gills, etc. There is another process called respiration, which takes place at the cellular level in all living organisms. In this process, the food that we take in is broken down to basic food item, which is like glucose, and this glucose, in the presence of oxygen we breathe in, it is burnt to produce energy. And this is the energy that human beings, animals and plants need for their survival. So, the respiration process is incomplete without air. Now, why do plants need air? We know that the carbon dioxide that is given out by human beings and animals is used as a raw material for the process of photosynthesis. Aquatic life also needs air. How? Fish, etc. breathe through their gills. Frogs also have to breathe in air when they are underwater. Now, how does oxygen get underwater? So, they are aquatic plants under the water, which again carry out photosynthesis. These take in the carbon dioxide dissolved in water and they give out oxygen as a byproduct of the process of photosynthesis. Earthworms also breathe. You must have seen earthworms coming out of the soil during rainy season. This is because the rainwater floods the soil. It clogs all the open pores in the soil. And the earthworms which are staying inside the soil cannot breathe. That is why they have to come to the surface to breathe. Children, other than these, there are many other things that the air does for us. So we fill in air in the tires of our bicycles, scooters, car, trucks and aeroplanes, which moves them. Air also evaporates the sweat in summer season, giving us a cool feeling. It supports burning. The oxygen present in air supports burning. Moving air runs the blades of windmills, which is used to generate electricity. Air dries up wet clothes, as we have understood in chapters before. And sound needs a medium to travel, and air is that medium for sound. So children, in this chapter, we have learned about two wonderful natural resources, air and water. We've also learned how excess or pollution of the same can be harmful to us. Time for you to attempt the questions at the back. Thank you.